Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, yes, this is the fourth time you're seeing me today. I'm all hopped up on energy drinks and caffeine. I'm having such an amazing day. I found a new app I get to play with, and we're going to be talking about that for a minute. So, guys, welcome to the show. Like I said, I love the new app. I am a low-tech redneck, so it's very easy for me to play with. So I just want to say thank you guys for coming on the show. And I can't wait to be able to share with our listeners what you guys got going on and how you're saving lives through technology. Welcome to the show, guys.
Heck yeah. Excited to be here.
Dude, that was an intro. That's who we made it for, dude. Low tech rednecks. I mean, that's our target right there.
Hey, well, there you go. I'm one of the first ones, so I'm good. So guys,
dude, wait. I just want to comment though on that intro clip that you just played. Like I almost didn't want the podcast to start. I'm like, this is cool. I just want to watch it. Like, I thought it was like a TV show that's about to start. That was a cool intro, dude.
Well, one of my friends, William Mitry, made it, and he's done all my graphics. He's done everything for me, and I'm truly grateful. So thank you so much for that. But let me ask you guys before we even start, because I do have a traumatic brain injury. If I don't ask the question, I'll forget. What is your definition of resiliency? And whoever wants to go first can go first.
Yeah, this is a great question. It's not typically well defined, but to me, I usually think about it in three parts. Some of this has actually come from our buddy, Master Chief Stephen Drum, and how they did Warrior.
Yes, and I've had him on the show. Yes.
Yeah, he built out the Warrior Toughness program for the Navy, and they define it really cleanly. They talk about it in three parts. It is, can you take a hit and keep going? And in the military, that could be getting hurt and getting back up and continuing to fight, or in civilian life, it's going through a breakup and getting back on your feet and going after it again. Another part is performance under pressure. You have a big interview, you get interviewed on a podcast. Can you show up in that moment, or does the stress overwhelm you? That's different from taking that hit and getting back on your feet. And the third part is grit, which is, can you just keep going even though it is tedious and boring? Because often winning is a big race, and it is about when you're in the middle of it and you're going through that lull and you're dispirited, are you able to pick it up and keep going and actually win?
I love it. Jason?
Yeah, I co-sign that. And I also view it as, I view resilience as like the opposite of fear, right? When we want to do something, we want to start a business, we fear that it will fail, right? But in actuality, if you lean into your resilience muscle, the fear of failure is irrelevant because you're resilient to bounce back from that, right? Like like I think about it as a muscle you can condition, right? Like think about it like abs, like the big, I'm not trying to body shame anybody, but the big belly maybe stands for the fear, where the washboard abs are the resilience. Like we all have that muscle. It's just up to us to condition that resilience muscle.
Okay. Now, I also believe that I've been through a lot of trauma. I'm going to send you guys both my books. They'll be on their way today. But I also realize that, whatever my trauma is, that my mentor, Ed Mylett, told me that, anything that's ever happened in my life has never happened to me. It's happened for me. And everything is a teachable moment. So once I flipped the script, and that's when I realized, well, trauma didn't really happen to me. It actually happened for me. So I think there's a way of having PTSD and then PTSG, which is post-traumatic growth.
Yeah. I mean, there really is something core underlying a lot of resiliency, is how you frame challenges and threats and bad stuff you've gone through. And one is, do you view it as a threat that hurt you, and there's maybe more of these threats over the horizon, and you're kind of afraid of those threats and you're trying to overcome the threat? That's hard to keep going in that type of space. Or do you view it instead as a challenge, a puzzle to be solved, something bad that happened before? Oh, that's a learning moment. So now that I'm better for the next one. People who make that kind of mindset shift towards challenge and puzzle they are resilient. They'll naturally be resilient. But it's easy to get kind of sucked into the threat mindset.
But isn't it amazing? Like somebody like Stephen Drum, somebody like Rich Diviney, somebody, people like that, where they, like I was taught by Rich Diviney, another Navy SEAL commander, that if you live your life by the 3-minute rule, where if something bad happens to you, you mourn for 3 minutes and then you move on. Or if something great happens to you, you celebrate for 3 minutes and move on. It's a lot easier than having to either stick in defeat or stick as a winner and then never win a title again. You know what I'm saying? So I think hanging out with, like you said, people like John McCaskill, Rich Diviney, Stephen Drum, you hang out with people like that, you're going to learn how to have a resilient mindset just by listening and sitting down with them.
Yeah, totally. No, it's a mindset thing. And that's why, what we've built is around helping men strengthen their mindset. I mean, it's exactly that, Richard, right? Like are we going to choose to lean into the negative and to let stress get the best of us? Or are we going to use those things? Like you said, I love that. I love the PTSD one. I'm going to use that. Are we going to have the growth mindset, which is, yeah, this is a setback, but what can I learn from this and how can this make me better? And that's what we just set out to do with the app, is like to help give men that mindset every single day. It's one of the things that we use. It's called the daily deuce, right? Anson named it. I can't take I write it, I voice it. I can't take credit for the name. Yeah. But the reason, Richard, and we don't need to make this the whole thing about the app, right? But the specific thing about that piece of the app is that what do a lot of men do when they sit on the can, they take their daily deuce? They just doom scroll through their phone, looking at pictures, looking at Instagram, getting stressed out about who their ex is dating. Instead, hit the play button in the app on the Daily Deuce and you get something that strengthens your mindset. It's like 2 to 3 minutes to put your mind in the right place every single morning. So we built the app around things exactly that you're talking about, Richard.
And, and I think, like for me, somebody once told me that a person can change your whole life in 30 days. And I said, that's impossible. That's bullshit. And he says, from now on, whenever you go on social media, I want you to heart everything that's positive and swipe everything that's negative. And I want you to come back to me in 30 days. And things started to change. And then I asked him, well, why? He says, because your mind is just like that. You have the reticular activating system that whatever you're looking for, you're going to find, whether it's positive or it's negative. So I think that's what the Daily Deuce would actually help a person. So you're going to start looking forward to that every single morning, getting that positive news, getting that positive juice instead of that negative juice in the morning, right?
Oh, I love what he's saying. Anson, chime in because I'm loving what he's saying. Anson, I'm loving what he's saying right now.
I mean, there's so much right on there.
Right now, I'm going to go listen to it right now.
But it is like we spend, we're seeing huge increases in mental health problems that are happening right now. And, there's a message, go to therapy to deal with it. And I think therapy is fantastic. But it's also really clear that a lot of the issue that's happening is lifestyle changes. For example, what we're just talking about, if you spend all day looking at social media and news, which is designed to be alarmist, to evoke negative emotions and anger in you, that's what you consume through the day. Well, that's who you're going to be. When you do finally put that stuff down, what are the thoughts going on in your head? They're all negative. You've been hearting the negative stuff all day, as you just put it. And if you just kind of make a shift there where you spend less time on that kind of crap, a little more time on good stuff, well, when you put it down, your mindset's in a different place and you start cycling upwards to an even better place because you have the right mindset versus downwards, which is what you were doing before. So I think it is really critical we find ways to switch out that negative information coming in and put positive ones in instead.
Yeah, because there's a reason why, if you're watching CNN, Fox News, they say that if it bleeds, it leads. So if there's a reason why they don't put a lot of positive stuff on there. So yeah. I stopped watching the news 2 years ago. I don't even know what's happening unless it's on ESPN. Then I might know something. I stopped watching the news because I only have so much bandwidth. And I don't want it to go towards my negativeness. So if I'm not playing video games, I'm with my wife, I'm with my kids, or I'm working on my business. Other than that, I don't have time for negatives. I
Yeah.
don't.
You're a rare man.
You're a rare breed, Richard Kaufman. That's what it means to get mental, dude. No, I mean, but just to chime in a little bit more about social media, and this is why if you go to our social media page, if you go to our Instagram or our TikToks, like we do one of two things. We make you laugh or we inspire you and make you feel good. Both things at the end of the day make you feel good, but we're not leaning into the negativity. We're not leaning into, oh, you're broken, which most mental health apps or companies will say. We tell you, you got this, we're going to help you, and we'll make you laugh or inspire you along the way.
And there's no, guys, as you guys know, if you follow me at all, I'm only a 9th grade dropout, so I'm not a professional at all. But I have had 1,100 interviews so far with doctors, lawyers, psychologists, Navy SEALs, Delta Force, and I found out there's no such thing as crazy. It's just level of pain.
Yeah.
So, we're all dealing with the same shit. Whether you're the CEO or you're the janitor, we're all dealing with the same shit. But we just need to be able to do like the three of us are just sitting here saying, hey, bro, Anson, I ain't doing good today. Can you got us a minute to talk? Or we got something I can listen to that's positive. If we can do that, we're going to save up because we're losing 55 veterans and first responders every day. Yeah. 55.
Yeah.
Now think about this, because I'm in charge of my town's drug and alcohol program. 5,000 adolescents are attempting suicide every day in the United States. Man. So think about the parents that are struggling that could be using this app.
Yeah, particularly the men. I mean, 80% of men in America, 80% of suicides in America are men. So, I mean, there's clearly a crisis here. And I mean, nobody knows that better than Anson. I mean, Anson dedicated his life to that, trying to uncover those issues. Right, Anson?
Yeah. I mean, the stats around the kind of suicide are pretty shocking. 80% are men. It's the second biggest cause of death in men under the age of 45. But if you the biggest cause is accidents, but if you dive into that, a lot of those accidents are caused by mental health issues, such as substance abuse, overdose, risk taking that men are likely to engage in if they're struggling with mental health. So it's just a crisis that is getting out of control. And before the biggest group of people were men who are 35 to 54 was really the most vulnerable group to suicide. But now, since 2010, it's children and men from the age 15 to 34. It's switched to younger. And that's really kind of disconcerting to me, because it's usually as you get older, you lose kind of your social network because you maybe have kids and family and you get focused there on your job. And so you don't have the friends, and it creates this loneliness that makes you potentially more vulnerable. But kids should be hanging out with the most friends they've ever had in their whole life, really deep social networks. And right now they don't have it. You go into a middle school and kids at lunchtime, instead of talking to each other, they're all looking at their phone. There's like a real change that's happening, and you're starting to see that the impact of it, and that those young people are killing themselves way more frequently than they ever did before.
Well, we just got back from Great Wolf Lodge yesterday. And for me, being in the digital space, I'm watching every table, and at least 2 people at every single table are on their phones.
Yeah.
And not even talking to each other. And I'm so guilty of it myself.
Guys, I'm on my phone right now. I'm not even listening to what we're talking about. I'm over here I'm texting the whole time. That's not true.
But so I agree with what you're saying. But now, I want to get real deep. I want to talk real. Because you lost 2 people to suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lost, a lot of times people say, Rich, you got a top podcast. You got a #1 best-selling book. But I don't ever remember my wins. I remember the 2 people that I lost.
Mm.
And because I couldn't help them, even though they wanted help, I couldn't help them. So, and my thing is always, what could I have done? What could I have done differently? So if you don't mind getting a little bit of vulnerable, tell us about your losses and how this motivated you to help save more lives today.
Yeah. Yeah, I resonate deeply with that. What could I have done? I've lost other people in other ways, not through suicide, and that alone is tough. But suicide carries extra weight to it because it does always have that element of what could I have done differently? Oh, if only I had acted in this moment. So there's guilt, and there's also anger too. When I lost my uncle to suicide, I was 19. He'd lived with us to help us through some hard times. And so when he killed himself, I was angry. Actually, I didn't really have more of the guilt side. I was like, you were supposed to be there for us. And he wasn't. But still, I knew how much he struggled with things that happened to him growing up, how he couldn't let go of that trauma. And that's what motivated me to get my PhD in neuroscience. I studied rumination. I wanted to understand why we can't let go of some things. And it leads to depression, and it leads to suicide. It leads to PTSD and substance abuse disorder. So if you could figure out how to let things go, you can actually decrease the likelihood of all these other negative consequences. That was my big focus. And I was out Stanford doing research on depression and anxiety when my cousin, other side of the family, he reached out to me. And I did not realize it was a call for help because I didn't get back to him. And a few days later, he killed himself. And that was kind of the opposite side. That was not the anger side. That was just the guilt side of, damn, like, if I had just gone back to him and had a conversation with him, maybe it would have been different, because it seemed pretty impulsive for him. My uncle seemed more thought out. With cousin, it seemed different. But it's hard. It's hard to actually, even me, with how much knowledge I have of the space, it is notoriously difficult to see the signs of suicide. Someone could actually be in a good mood the day that they kill themselves. So I don't think it's actually appropriate or correct for us to have guilt over it, even though we do, and that's our emotions about it. But it's really hard to actually spot it and make a difference. But yeah, I've been there, and it is tough. And that is what's really motivated me to be, how do we get people earlier on and start helping them further upstream? A lot of what we're building at Mental, it really isn't an app for guys who are in a crisis state. It's more for guys who are doing okay or even better, and connecting with them at that point, so they start understanding the beauty of these tools to develop resilience, to change their mindset, to get off the so much social media and all the things that are kind of poisoning their mind, so that they're less likely to get to that place at all. And I think that's really how we help way more guys.
So guys, if somebody's watching it right now and you're struggling, dial 988 right now, hang up and dial 988 and get help right now if you guys are struggling, if you need to. But something that somebody once told me, he said that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and that when you do take your own life, you're just transferring pain onto your family for the rest of their life. So guys, just think about that. And that was one of the reasons I decided not to take my life, was because I didn't want to transfer the pain onto my children's life. Because unfortunately, according to some of the research that I've done, mental health and suicide runs generational. So usually if somebody commits suicide, a lot of times in their past generations, they have a history of suicide. So I just want, so that was, but now, all right. So now talk to us about how this whole app thing came along. Because like we were talking about earlier, I wanted to get the Calm app, but I'm a Lakers fan and I hate LeBron. So I decided not to get the app for that one reason.
Anson, write that down. We're not getting LeBron for the app. Okay. Write that. Make note of that. Anson, you can talk through the start. Before we went live and before you hopped on, Anson, I was walking Richard through it a little bit and kind of how I came on board, but yeah, hit him with like how you and Tyler, who's Anson's co-founder, our CTO, who's a freaking brilliant guy, along with Anson, developed the app. And then I could kind of talk about that time my buddy Justin called me up and was like, hey, they got this thing for men and for mental health. I'm like, what? Tell me more.
Yeah. I left academia because, we're just doing an excellent job understanding what is causing mental illness, but academics are just horrible at scaling up its solutions, and just way too slow. And there's not enough time here to be slow. A crisis is rampaging through the country. And I remember to calm. I knew from my research that meditation is so good at preventing the onset of struggles with mental health and helping you even if you're already there. Also been meditating since I was 18. Personally saw the value. I joined as the founding data scientist, and I met my co-founder there. He was the founding engineer. And yeah, we actually struggled early on at Calm to raise money. We got a lot of feedback that meditation was way too niche. People would tell us that it was something only done on college campuses and by people at Burning Man. But over the years, we really built up, got meditation out to way more people. So even if you don't do it, I think a lot of people now know it is a tool that's there for you if you need it, and it is effective. But we kind of struggle to get through to guys, particularly on the meditation bit. I think a lot of guys find it maybe a little too abstract. I'm just going to sit here and focus on my breath, and that's going to make me feel better. And the reality is if guys are 80% of suicides and we do not figure out a way to get through to guys, we will never resolve this crisis. And if you look at the space, all the apps are built either explicitly for women or general use, but the general use apps tend to be used 3 times more by women than men. Because they have this one size fits all solution, which assumes that there's no differences between how men and women approach mental health. But the reality is there are big differences in how men tend to approach it. And if we think these one size fits all solutions are going to work, we're going to be disappointed. It's why we are currently disappointed. So it is really kind of time that we follow the science and go back to the assumptions about what mental health needs to be or what the solutions in the space need to be. Start building something from the ground up that is made for guys, for our culture around it, that could really actually make a real impact.
Okay, so before we go any further, I want to thank our sponsor real quick, because I love the way you talk about there's a difference between men and women. Like the guy that sponsors the show, his name is Michael Peterson. He was on the show Forged in Fire, and it's all about friggin' knives and fire. And guys are like, oh, and women are like, that's so stupid. But we're like, yeah, but that's what we like. So there's a big difference between guys and girls. But what I want to say is, with Father's Day, with Christmas coming up, if you want to get your father's son or husband or father, get him a knife that's hand forged with your name on it. And if you mention our show, you'll actually get free delivery. So if you want something from somebody that was on Forged in Fire and it's actually hand forged with his name on it, check out Mike's Damascus Knives down below. So, but now, because guys with mental health, you're right. Girls will be like, they'll get together, they'll go have a paint and sip night, and they'll sit and talk about all those struggles. Where guys can be together for a weekend fishing or hunting, and the wives ask you when you got home, what'd you guys talk about? Nothing.
All we did was fish. I mean, what are we gonna do? Talk?
It's like so. Guys have a problem breaking down and saying, Anson, bro, I need help. I'm struggling. Can you help me? So, and I think this can be a gateway. It's not the be all, but it's a gateway to get people talking again.
Yeah, Richard,
right?
It's funny you say that. Right before we hopped on, I recorded a daily deuce. It's called the FINE challenge. And you know what FINE stands for? Fucked up, insecure, needy, and emotional.
Okay.
Right? But you know how we normally respond to dudes when they ask us how we're doing? We're fine. I'm fine. So the FINE challenge is all about, we challenge you today. A dude asks you how you're doing. Be honest with him. You don't have to tell him every single detail of what's happening in your life and just, release it like a flood, but be honest and reveal maybe a detail or two about what's really going on and what's really stressing you out. And then the opposite of that is when you ask a buddy, how are you doing? And he says, fine, push back on that and just say, no, dude, I really do want to know what's going on. Like, you could tell me, it's cool. Right. let him know you're there as a friend to show some love, to show some support. He might not want to open up right now, but that might be the only thing that he needs, is to know that you are there to listen, right? And then you follow up with him the next day. So this is an example of a daily deuce. I just spoiled it because now I want people to download the app and listen to it. But that's an example of, these are the messages that we're trying to get through to dudes. And it's not the idea of, Richard, I don't know how you feel about former Navy SEAL, Mr. David Goggins, but Goggins, who is great and inspirational, but tends to be overly aspirational, where it's like, I don't know if men can ever get to that level, where a lot of times what we're trying to do is get to any level you want, but just get off the couch and go for a walk, go for a hike, text a buddy and see how he's doing. Like, those are the nudges we're trying to get men to do, because those habits stack on top one another and eventually maybe becoming the next David Goggins.
We
so
actually,
you mean something like the book my friend James Clear wrote, Atomic Habits, something like that?
Yeah, we're a big fan of his, dude.
yeah.
We're a big fan of his. We
But you know,
incorporate
something also like, if I know that if whenever we meet and hang out, we'll all get together. When I say, Anson, how you doing? And I know you're going to say fine, but then I'm going to say, how are you really doing?
Yeah.
And I do it all the time, because I know the first answer. It's kind of like when I used to walk into GNC, hey, how are you? You know, but you're not going to give me the answer that I want. So if you just, I'm going to say, how are you doing? You're going to say, I'm fine. And then I'm going to be like, but how are you really doing? And it's those questions, those second and third level questions, are the ones that are going to save lives. And sometimes you have to ask the fucking hard questions. Sometimes you got to say, bro, I see your social media. You're fucked up. What's going on? Talk to me. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to be able to, you know, because I'd rather hear your bullshit than I would rather hear your eulogy.
A lot of men feel like they're being a burden. Like, if I'm going to tell Anson what's really going on with me, I feel like I'm being a burden to Anson. When in actuality, Anson really does want to know what's going on with me, and vice versa. Like, I really do want to know what's going on with you, Richard, but like, we're kind of conditioned as men to either feel like a burden or feel like we need to tough it out or man up, which is all just like toxic shit. When in actuality, if we could just reveal a little bit of that detail or be willing to receive it, right? Or even put a little bit of piece of our own flesh on the table first and reveal how we're feeling, then another dude can just reveal, put a little bit of piece of his flesh on the table too. Pun intended. Please don't carve a piece of your flesh out and put on the table.
But, you know, also, you know, I'm celebrating 35 years of being clean and sober on January 1st. But I tell everybody, listen, let me help you, because if I can help you, you're helping me. By helping you, I may not pull the trigger. So if I put on that they're helping me by letting them help them, it kind of brings the curtain down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's our purpose. Like, my purpose in life is actually to try to help you. and so if you let me help you, I'm able to achieve my purpose. It's something, it's core to me. And there's a lot of us out there who are that way. And so if some people could open up.
And I think if people know, like, if I talk to you guys, obviously nobody watches the podcast, so we don't have to worry about anybody seeing this. But I know that if you guys tell me something on the DL, that's where it stays. You know, you can tell me something like, because I'm married to an Italian woman and her family's all mobbed up. So I know anything that we say, it stays here. It doesn't go any further, you know?
Well, but now it definitely will. Knowing that, I'm definitely not saying any of this shit to anybody else.
So if you can get somebody to trust you and they know, all right, I said something in confidence and it's not going anywhere, they're more likely to open up to you because they know that it's a safe place, you know?
That's a bit of a male social code. My wife will go out and talk to all the other moms and ladies, and but she'll also come home and tell me what's going on with all of them. And guys are a little less willing to talk to each other, but when they do, it often feels like they keep it private between each other. And it is generally, I feel like you could share someone what's going on with your buddy and they'll keep it to themselves.
So now, like this, I was under the impression I had to take one of these cold plunges, and there was no way that was because I got shrinkage problems as it is. But the shower I could probably do, but I find that because I get up every morning and I do an hour of cardio. I walk. So whether it's 5 degrees, 100 degrees, I'm walking. And I find out once I have that cold weather, it really wakes me up and it gets me moving. So is that the premise behind the cold showers?
Yeah, is we do it's the only guided cold shower protocol that exists, and we make it really easy on you, Richard. If it always starts with a hot shower, and then ends with cold, and it starts with just 5 seconds of cold, and it's not even max cold. Just it's really just about showing up. Can you start doing this, and then you build up to longer temperatures in the cold, slowly over time once it becomes a habit. But really, for us with cold water, there are physical and mental health benefits right off the bat. It decreases inflammation. You actually lose weight just by getting into cold water without even working out. It improves your immune system. They say a cold shower a day keeps the doctor away. But mental side, it increases alertness, energy. People actually find them to be addictive because you just feel good coming out. So it has all of that, but really to us, what matters is that when you're in cold water, you are literally stressed. You have stress hormones like adrenaline and noradrenaline pumping through you. And what it creates is just unusual opportunity to train your mind to handle stress differently. So we were talking about resilience before. Well, in that moment, you could actually practice mental tools, body relaxation, breathing ways, different ways to control your autonomic response while you're actually stressed. That's something like Goggins talks about a bunch. Like just learning these tools, it's not enough. You actually have to learn by doing. You need to put yourself in a stressful situation and then train them, practice them. And what you end up getting, if you train these tools in the stress of cold water, is they will just start reflexively showing up in your everyday life when stress pops up. When you're driving down the road and your kids are yelling in the back seat, you will change just what your mental response is to that because you've trained yourself.
And the teacher of those tools, Richard, is your good buddy, Navy SEAL Master Chief Stephen Drum. So if you go into the app and you start the protocol, you hear me and Drum kind of riffing back and forth. And I'm popping every now and again to make you laugh and because we need that humor. But really, it's Drum in there motivating us to get from a 5-second cold shower up to 90 seconds in level 1. Then we have a level 2 where it's like every day is 90 seconds. And again, it's Drum giving in their words of wisdom, stories from when he was a Navy SEAL, stories from him, trying to build his business during the pandemic, right? He's talked with you about it. The stress of writing a book, the stress of public speaking, all these things that are relatable to every single dude out there, because not every guy wants to become a Navy SEAL. That's totally fine, but we will all experience stress. So let's take some tools that we are known to work that Anson has developed, that Drum has used during his training, and that are applicable to everyday life for the everyday man.
And something that I love about Stephen, something that I love about McCaskill, I love about those guys, even Goggins to a point. I like Goggins, but he gets on my nerves once in a while. But
he
he's
just
a great dude.
at me all the time.
We like to say never go full Goggins.
Don't go full Goggins, and he's always yelling at me.
And I actually have guys that actually went through camp with him. They were in the same Buds team because he recycled a couple times. But I love Goggins. But I just love the mindset that anybody that makes it through selection, whether a SEAL, whatever it is they're not going to quit. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we could just get that one thing in our minds, that no matter what's going on in our life, we're not going to quit. We'll make it. Because even the SEAL said, the only easy day was yesterday. So if we can just realize, okay, shit's happening today. I made it 100% of my day so far. If I could just make it through the rest of the day, tomorrow's coming, I'm not going to quit. And I think an app like this, it can make you, because a lot of times it's hard. If it's 3:45 in the morning, I'm waking up shaking, crying because of a dream or a nightmare. I could just go to my phone and there's an app that I can go to without having to bother somebody else. Yeah. So I think this is an actual lifesaver in that aspect. You know what I mean?
Richard,
sometimes I wake up, I'm crying, I'm shaking, I'm having nightmares. If I could just go to my phone and sit in the living room and even get 3 minutes or 4 minutes of something to ease my mind, then I might go back to bed and be like, okay, I'll make it. I'll make it through the night because of this.
Yeah, Richard, I really appreciate you saying that, dude. I mean, and I think a lot of men resonate with that and go through the same experience. We actually have something in the app that actually is free, right, Anson? It doesn't even require a free trial because we know how important it is for men. It's called the Chill Pill. And anything that has you stressed out or anxious or anything you're going through right now, you can go in and have a chat conversation with an AI version of a legendary man like Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee, Marcus Aurelius, and we have a Navy SEAL in there. And you can let them know what's going on with you right now, how stressed out you are, what's stressing you out, and they will walk you through in a clinical way, because this was developed by Anson, who's a neuroscientist, and then also and a PhD we have in our team, Matt Engler Carlson, who is a PhD in psychology and one of the world's leading men's mental health experts. So these guys developed it, but it's delivered in the voice of like Marcus Aurelius or Bruce Lee. It's really cool. So it's AI clinical coaching, which will allow you to bring down your stress immediately in the fraction of a time that it takes us to call our healthcare company and try to find a doctor or a therapist or try to find somebody that resonates with us. And then, all of the co-pays and right. So we're trying to disrupt that whole process. That's not a knock on, healthcare benefits and therapy, but we're trying to disrupt that process by giving solutions to men at a fraction of the time and cost that it usually takes.
Yeah. That you can do
and
anywhere.
One thing I like about, like, when I signed up for the app today, I went through the different AIs, and I'm like, who can I relate to?
Who'd you pick, dude? Or do you not want to tell?
I know I picked Bruce.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big Bruce guy.
Bruce is one of the top picks.
Bro. Well, I did it because I love his son Brand, so that's why I picked him. I'm a big stoicism guy, so I picked Marcus, but I forget who the other one was, but I picked somebody that I can relate to, because if I had to sit down and have a conversation with Goggins all day, I would be stressed the fuck out. So for me, I'm the kind of guy that I could sit and talk to Steven, because he's kind of low key and he can get quiet. But if you're just going at me 100 miles an hour, it stresses me out even more. Yeah. So I think people, that's what I think I love about this, is that you make it relatable. And I think if people can find somebody that they're relatable to, it makes it a lot easier to relax.
Yeah. And there's a time and place for different types of coaching and advice, right? Like, you're going through a breakup or trying to figure out how to navigate conflict with your wife. Goggins is not the guy you want yelling in your ear. But if you're struggling to get off the couch and you keep not following through on, different things you're trying to do in life, hey, maybe Goggins is the guy that you want in your ear. So it's part of it.
I love David. I mean, I've read all of his books and I listened to them twice each. And actually, I just interviewed a guy. Maybe you guys should have him, I'll have you hook him up. His name is Aaron Hale. He actually ran the Badwater 135.
Oh, wow.
Blind and deaf. Wow. And did a better time than Goggins.
Wow. I want to hear Goggins comment on that.
So you talk about resiliency, so that's why. And I love, like I said, I love Goggins. I love all those guys, but I would rather listen to Bruce Lee talk than Goggins talk any day of the week.
Yeah. And I mean, we, not to quote a bunch of numbers and figures here, but I mean, we've seen, users have reported a stress reduction around, 35%, a reduction in stress, like immediately after a 3 to 4 minute conversation. And again, this is typed out. You can voice to text. You could talk into the app about what's going on, but we mentioned this idea of anonymity earlier, and it's completely anonymous. You know what I mean? Like, nobody sees any of this. No, it's not a live human being on the other end talking to you. So you can really dive deep and really put yourself, tell the AI what's going on with you, and you will get a clinical solution in return.
So how long has this been live?
The app's been out for 8 months, so not that long, but taken off. Users are just growing really quick. 4.9 stars in the App Store, 500 plus 5-star reviews already. So just getting a ton of love. And really the part that's most motivating to me is hearing from so many different guys who are writing in and saying this has been life-changing, or we just had a guy writing in saying that he gave us a story about just some really hard stuff that he's going through, and he's like, you guys brought me through this period of the last 2 months, and I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have kind of this app to rely on. And this is a guy generally who hasn't used other apps in the space, as far as I understood. So getting through to folks that really needed the help has just been super motivating for us on the team.
These aren't guys we know either, Richard. Like, these aren't friends of ours. You know, when we first released our beta version, we were begging friends, like, can you download the app and give us feedback? But, shortly after we did a wider release, I'd mentioned to you, Richard, a random guy had sent us a message on social media and just said, I want to thank you guys so much for this cold shower protocol. I've tried so many things. He said he did 2 tours in Iraq, and I've tried so many things to help with my PTSD, but this has actually been working for me. So, to me, to hear those things, like, it's so incredibly inspiring. I mean, I myself have been someone who, my whole life have suffered with an anxiety disorder, severe depression, suicidal ideations. And to know, Anson used this word purpose, for me, there was a lot of that was lacking in my life, but to have this purpose to help other men who have anxiety disorders, who suffer severe depression, who have suicidal ideations, it's given me purpose, and it's given me a new life in a way to help other men who go through these things. So,
yeah.
Well, before we hopped on, you said that you're actually going to do something special for our listeners whenever they watch this, or when it goes live, whenever you guys want it to go live. You're actually going to do something special for 10 of our listeners, correct?
Yeah, we want to give out 10 free memberships, 10 free annual subscriptions. And here's the thing, our annual cost for our membership is already very low, right? Like, some people are like, wow, I mean, this is incredible. Like, the annual cost for our membership is a fraction of the cost of 1 hour of therapy. So that's great, but we still want to be able to help as many dudes as we can. So rather than giving a promo code, just because, Richard, we are still such a small company and we have one engineer on the team, and it actually takes a while to kind of build this out. So rather than giving out a promo code, we'd love to give 10 free subscriptions to the first 10 guys who reach out to us. We'll drop the link. We'll do a special link, Richard, for your podcast, so they can use that link. And they can just, give us your name, your phone number, really simple, and we'll get you a free subscription.
And I find it, the reason why, I like it, and the reason why I like it is because if it's just a website, I'm going to forget to go to it. Because every morning when I wake up, I have certain websites I go to. I do everything a certain. It's my OCD kicking in, and I know that if it's an app, I'll go to that app every single day and I'll use it. But if it's just a website, I'm never going to go back again. So I think that's one thing you guys hit it on the head. Because now, even if I go to Great Wolf Lodge and I'm dropping a deuce, I can listen.
Boom.
That's a way.
Drop another deuce. Hit that play button. Drop another deuce, right?
I think that's a positive, that you're always bringing a doctor with you. You're always bringing help with you wherever you go. So even if you just want to put on for 3 minutes while my wife goes picks up Dunkin' Donuts, I can just pop it on real quick and still get some use out of it. And I know the price is, when I seen the price, I was shocked. I literally was shocked, because I have a family member that sees a psychologist once a week. And it's for one session, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And
that's why that might even be with insurance.
Yeah. So for what you guys offer for a whole year, even if people pay for it, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man.
What do you guys got coming up? How can we support you guys, first of all? And what do you guys got coming up in the near future?
Yeah. I appreciate people coming into the app, checking it out, giving it a go. Sure.
What are you drinking? I want to know what you're drinking.
I know. Yeah. And I was going to say this, but then you're like, but nobody's watching this. And I'm like, wow, I know I should still say it. So this is not beer, even though it looks like it is, right?
Okay.
I'm drinking iced tea. This is liquid death, baby.
I like that stuff.
Glad you're not drinking on and podcasting, Jason.
This is not. This is not a sponsorship. They did not pay me
Actually-
for this, but they should.
Well, I just want to say because Monster Energy is powering me up right now, so that's why I wanted to say thank
Nice.
you, Monster, for keeping me up for today. So, what do you guys got going on for the next?
Just got
for
a
the
glass
near
of water. This is embarrassing.
Anson's drinking. Richard's on his third Monster. I'm drinking Liquid Death. Anson's like, this is Mighty Fine H2O.
future? It's flavored water.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Anson.
Just supporting us as well. If you're in the space, reach out. I love connecting with people who are doing work in this space. But also app-wise, so much coming. Our AI is being developed out. Like next up, we have a daily rager coming out, which is dealing with anger instead of stress. And instead of talking like to the Bruce Lees of the world, it's instead guys who are known as notorious ragers, like Ozzy Osbourne, Napoleon, the tennis player John McEnroe, and they'll kind of work you through your rage. But a lot of different AI features are coming out. We'll go deep there. There's other protocols beyond cold shower that we're developing out. So the app is changing really quick. So yeah, if you come in now, it'll be different a few months from now.
We just rolled out level 3 of our cold shower protocol. So Richard, you got to start putting in some time, dude, because we need you to get to level 3. So level 1, starts at 5 seconds. It's 30 days. You get from 5 seconds to 90 seconds. And trust me, this is so worth it. With the tools that you learn during that level of the protocol are applicable to everyday life and will bring down the negative shit that you're going through. Level 2, every day, it's 90 seconds, and you got drum giving you that motivation. Now, level 3, which we just rolled out this week, is now you take those tools and you train on your own in the cold, right? You've learned these things. Now it's time to develop that self-mastery. So we know as men, like, it's important for us to kind of level up and hit these milestones. And like, it's another tricky thing with men in therapy. It's like, I mean, I've done therapy before, but I would go into some of the sessions and be like, okay, but like, how do we know this issue is done? Like, what's my milestone here? Like, what are we working towards? So for us as men, those milestones are really important. So we were excited to have just released that third level of the protocol. So, and then we also have a Discord community. Any of our users who want to jump in there, we got 400 men in that community who, are just talking about life shit. Like, they're sharing what's going on. And I mean, every single one of those guys, I should be careful with what I say, right, Anson? Because soon we're going to grow that Discord community to like 40,000 guys. So if I say I'm responding to every one of those comments, shit, I don't know, dude. 40,000, now I got to respond to 40,000 dudes. But right now we got about 400 men in there, and it's a great community of us just to talk about what's going on with the app, but also just talk about what's going on with us in life and to bounce some things off of one another. And it's just really been a great positive community. Mm-hmm. Every Monday we have like our mental Mondays where we release a question. It's like, what's your goal and intention for this week? Richard, that was something you and Drum talked about, I think, on one of your episodes, right? That word intention. Are you being intentional with everything that you're doing? So that's something we'll do on a Monday and have every dude talk about what's your intention for this week, and check in at the end of the week and just see how everybody's doing.
Well, he changed my life because he challenged me on December 31st. He said, I want you to pick 2 words for this year, 2023. And I chose intention and attention.
Yeah.
My business had 10x since doing intention and attention. So I got to give Stephen that credit. But now, because I haven't really dug deep into your app, do you guys have stuff? Because I'm a big gratitude guy. I'm a big gratitude guy. Is there anything on the app as far as dealing with gratitude?
There's stuff coming here, but it's kind of more interweave. For example, one of the days in cold shower, we usually look at that as just bitter and cold, but a day for gratitude on what that cold is doing for you. So it shows the power of that reframe, and you could take something negative and actually express gratitude towards it, and suddenly you'll actually be like, this is not so bad. Now that I see it as a positive. So it's kind of more interweaved, but we have some potential features that are going to come out that will emphasize that a bit more, because agreed, it is important. It is really easy to get caught up in all the things that are crap about our lives and ways things have not worked out right for us, as we've all faced some hard stuff. But a lot of us also have just a tremendous number of amazing things that are happening in our life, and it makes a big difference. And I mean, I even just have a small practice of when I drink water from the tap, where I'm just appreciative. It's people don't necessarily have that in big parts of the world, and that would be tough. And it is amazing to just walk down, get some glass of water, and open up my fridge and eat some food. And you start realizing that is actually a really blessed thing to have in your life. So you start viewing your everyday life a little bit differently. Instead of the negatives, it's like, what are the positives?
It's one of the common themes in the deuce too, Richard, that I'll keep going back to. You know, it's one of the things that we mentioned in our Discord a couple of weeks ago. You know, write 3 things that you're grateful for. I mean, when we realize like shit is hitting the fan, if we lean into gratitude, suddenly things get a little bit easier. They don't completely go away, but they get easier.
Yeah, because I believe that if you go to bed with gratitude, and if you wake up with gratitude, the rest of your day is going to go well.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm so grateful that we finally got together. I know you have another business meeting you got to get to, so we can get this app out even more. So one more time, how do we find you? How do we support the mission?
Yeah, we like to tell everyone it's time to get mental. And so go to getmental.com. It's so easy to find us, or in Android or iOS, App Store, Apple App Store. Just search for Mental and you will find us there as well. So yeah, really appreciate any downloads, any feedback, connect with me, connect with Jason. It'd be great to meet more folks.
And hit us up on social. We are at the Mental app, right, Anson?
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, hit us up on IG and TikTok. I mean, we're growing by the day on there. And, you know, you DM us, like, we're going to respond. So, you know, we care. We like, this isn't something like, yes, it's a business. It's funny. Sometimes we get some messages around like, you got to pay for this. And it's like, shocker, right? That, yeah, something of value costs money in this world. Shocker, right? But you know, that payment helps us keep it up and running. I mean, it helps pay us and to like keep this company going. So, but yeah, if you reach out to us, we'll reach back. We're here to help.
Well, my brother Russell Brunson said, those who pay attention, right?
That is, yeah, actually wildly true. There's one thing, you spend some money, you're like, all right, damn, I'll do this. Now I got to work through the cold shower.
You value it, right? You value it more.
All right, guys, I love you. I'm so appreciative. Hopefully we can build generational relationships from here on out. I appreciate. I can't wait to play with an app, and I can't wait to start playing and leave a review on it. So thank you guys so much for even including me in this.
Yeah, I really appreciate your support, Richard, and you're doing amazing work. So yeah, I really appreciate having us on.
Yeah, dude.
All right, guys, make sure you check out the app. Make sure you check out their IG. Make sure you check out all their apps, and make sure you just follow them. And 10 of you guys are going to get an app for free. Well, I'll let you know when we're going to do that. So I love you guys. And guys, just remember, vertical momentum. The only way to go is up. Make sure you check out verticalmomentumpodcast.com. We got t-shirts, swag, coffee, my #1 book. It's all to get you better physically, mentally, spiritually, and physically. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much, and have a great week.
Yeah, man. Love you too, man. And I love the fact that I'm going to be in your pocket everywhere you go.
You are. That can be kind of scary. So, just be in the bathroom. So
we had you right up until I said that.
Yeah.
Now I got to think about that.
Yeah. Why do I have these guys on the show?
All right, guys. Have a great week.
All right. Yeah. Bye, Richard.